I've been working as a police dispatcher for over 15 years and I've heard it all. Domestic disturbances, robberies in progress, even some cases of people in distress. But there's one call that still haunts me. It was a late shift, one of those quiet nights where time seems to stretch longer than it should. I was sipping my coffee, half asleep, when the line buzzed, jolting me to life. I answered as usual, but the voice on the other end wasn't anything I was prepared for. "Help me. Please." The voice was faint, almost a whisper. I strained to hear it, pressing the phone against my ear. "Where are you?" I asked, my heart already beginning to race. "I'll send help." There was silence and then static, like the line was cutting in and out. I checked the screen, no number, no location, nothing. "Are you still there?" I asked, trying to keep calm. Maybe it was a bad connection. "I need you to tell me where you are." The voice came back, trembling now. "He's in the house, watching me. Please, he's coming." I tried to ask more questions, but all I got was static. And then, nothing. The call dropped. My hands were shaking. I replayed the audio, trying to make sense of it, but the voice seemed distorted, like it wasn't fully human. I called the other dispatchers, checking for any nearby officers. Maybe it was a prank or a crossed line. Then the phone rang again. This time the voice was clearer, more desperate. "He's here. He's in the room. He's looking right at me." I slammed the emergency button to ping the nearest patrol car. I felt helpless, my stomach twisting as I listened to the terror on the other end. But before I could respond, I heard something else. A sound I'll never forget. Breathing. Deep, labored breathing. Not from the woman, but from someone, or something else. The woman screamed, and then the line went dead again. I tried to trace the call, but there was nothing. No location, no record, no trace of it ever existing. I called every officer within a 20-mile radius, but no one had reported anything unusual. The incident was officially logged, but without any information, there was little more I could do. 2 nights later, during another late shift, I got the same call. This time the voice was weaker, more distant. The breathing, though, it was still there, heavy and deliberate. I didn't sleep for days after that. I reported it to my supervisors. They said it was probably a technical glitch, maybe some kids messing around with the system. But every now and then, when I'm alone at night in the dispatch office, I think I hear that same heavy breathing, echoing through the lines. Last week, I got another call, the same voice, the same plea for help. But this time the voice wasn't saying, "He's in the house." This time it said, "He's coming for you." And the line went dead. I haven't told anyone about the last call, but tonight the phone just rang again. And as I pick it up, the breathing's already there, waiting for me. I've been on the force for 10 years, and in that time I've seen plenty of strange things. But nothing prepared me for the Callahan house. It was an old Victorian, abandoned for decades, and rumoured to be haunted. Locals said it had a dark history, strange disappearances, eerie noises. It was a prime spot for teenagers to break in and scare each other, so when a neighbour reported strange noises from inside, I figured it was just another group of kids messing around. I was wrong. I responded to the call alone. It was nearing midnight when I pulled up. The house loomed over the street, its windows like empty eyes staring down at me. The front gate creaked as I pushed it open, and the air felt thick, like the house itself was breathing. I radioed in, letting dispatch know I was on site, and approached the front door. It was unlocked. Typical. I stepped inside, flashlight in one hand, and the old wooden floorboards groaned under my boots. I called out, "This is Officer Davis? Anyone here?" My voice echoed in the empty halls. No answer. I started upstairs where the neighbour had reported hearing footsteps. The house was colder inside than it had been outside, and the further I went, the more uneasy I felt. I reached the top of the stairs and stopped. There was a smell. Something foul, like spoiled food. My stomach churned, but I pressed on, following the stench down a long, narrow hallway. At the end, a door stood ajar. I pushed it open, and the smell hit me full force. The room was empty, except for a single chair in the center. On the floor beneath it, strange symbols had been scratched into the wood, crude and jagged. I felt a chill creep up my spine. Something about the room felt wrong. It was too quiet. Suddenly, I heard a noise, a faint creaking, like footsteps above me. The attic. I found the ladder and climbed up, my flashlight flickering as I ascended. The attic was cramped and dusty, filled with broken furniture and cobwebs. My light swept across the room, and that's when I saw it. A figure, crouched in the corner, its back to me. "Police," I said, my voice shaking. "Stand up, turn around slowly." The figure didn't move. I stepped closer, the floor creaking under my weight. I said, "Stand up." The figure began to rise, but something was off. The way it moved, it was jerky, unnatural, like it was being pulled up by strings. My heart pounded in my chest as I watched. Then it turned. Its face wasn't human. I stumbled back, tripping over my own feet, as the thing moved toward me, its limbs contorting in ways no body should. Its eyes were black, hollow voids, and its mouth was twisted into a grotesque smile. It spoke in a voice that wasn't its own. "He's waiting for you." I scrambled down the ladder, nearly falling in my panic, and ran for the door. I could hear it behind me, following, those unnatural movements getting closer. I threw myself down the stairs, bursting out of the house and into the cold night air. I radioed for backup, but when they arrived, there was no sign of anything. No figure, no symbols, no smell. Just an empty house. I took some time off after that, but I couldn't shake what I'd seen. A few weeks later, I got a call to my personal phone. I answered, and the line was silent at first. Then I heard it. The same voice, the same words, whispering through the static. "He's waiting for you." I haven't gone back to that house, but every now and then, I see something in the corner of my eye, just a shadow, moving in the same jerky, unnatural way. And I know, deep down, it's still waiting. I'd been patrolling the outskirts of our small town for years. It was a quiet, rural place with nothing but forests and fields for miles. The kind of town where you could drive your whole shift without seeing a soul. But then, people started disappearing. It was slow at first, just one or two hikers who never came back. The official line was that they'd gotten lost or fallen into the river. But when a third person went missing, an old man who'd lived on the edge of the woods his whole life, people started talking. There were rumors about the woods, about something out there that watched from the trees. I never believed in any of that, but it was my job to check it out. So one evening just after sunset, I drove out to the forest alone. It was late fall, and the sun had already dipped below the horizon, leaving the sky a dull grey. The woods felt different at night, darker and more oppressive, as if the trees themselves were leaning in, watching me. I parked my car by the trailhead and grabbed my flashlight. I radioed dispatch to let them know where I was, but the static was thick, making communication almost impossible. I should have turned back right then, but I didn't. I followed the narrow path into the woods, the beam of my flashlight cutting through the darkness. It was quiet, too quiet. No birds, no wind, just the crunch of my boots on the dead leaves. After about 20 minutes of walking, I heard it, branches snapping, like something big was moving just off the trail. I swung my flashlight toward the noise, but there was nothing. The woods swallowed the light. I stood there, heart racing, scanning the trees. My gut told me I wasn't alone. Then I saw it, just for a second, a figure standing deep in the woods, far from the path. It was tall, too tall to be a person, and it was just watching me. I froze, unable to move, my mind struggling to process what I was seeing. And then, just as quickly as it had appeared, it was gone, like it had melted into the shadows. I radioed in again, but the static was worse now. I could barely make out the dispatcher's voice, but I caught something, a single word. Leave. I didn't need to be told twice. I turned and started back the way I came, moving faster now. But as I made my way toward the car, the feeling of being watched only grew stronger. I could hear something moving behind me, staying just out of sight. My flashlight flickered and died, plunging me into darkness. I broke into a run. The woods seemed to close in around me, and the thing, whatever it was closer now. I could hear its heavy footsteps, its breathing, like it was right at my back. I stumbled onto the trailhead, gasping for breath, and made it to my car. I didn't look back. I slammed the door and sped away. That was months ago. I filed a report, but it was brushed off as stress or a trick of the light. But I know what I saw. And now, every night when I'm on patrol, I feel it again. That same watchful presence. I see it sometimes in the distance, just beyond the trees. It's waiting. And I know one day it won't just be watching.